You all know, if you've been following me for a while, that I have some strong opinions about parenting. And so, what I wanted to do is I wanted to end this year with 12 bad parenting tips that we need to leave in 2025 and walk into 2026 doing authoritative parenting and only authoritative parenting. All right, so first one is the first 7 years are the most important, make them count. This just puts a whole lot of pressure on parents, and it makes you think that, oh my goodness, my child is 8 and I haven't been doing authoritative parenting. What am I going to do? Oh my God, I've messed up my child. They're going to be a delinquent. And that's just not the case, because you as a parent can always recover. It does not matter what you did 5 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 months ago, or 5 years ago, because humans are adaptable. We are changeable. We can change. And there's nothing magical about the first 7 years. I wouldn't be a clinical psychologist if I didn't believe that people can change at any age. So let's get that out of here. Let's stop putting so much pressure on parents that they have to be perfect in the first 7 years. It's just malarkey. All right, next one. Let them win. It'll build their confidence. All right, participation trophies and everyone gets a ribbon and all of the things. It was all meant because someone decided that, oh, it was going to build our youth self-esteem. But it hasn't. It doesn't work that way. It gives them a false sense of confidence, and we don't want them. So you make your child earn their bragging rights, and you make them beat you. Because once they beat you, then they know that they can do things, they can do hard things, and that they are capable and that they are competent. And that's what we want to build. We want to build their ability to adapt and their ability to feel that competence because they are competent. That's what we want. All right, next one. Number 3, don't tell them no. All right, all the Shonda Rhimes followers, and this is my yes day, and this is my yes year. No, tell your child no. It is okay. Here are all the different ways to tell your child no. No, nah, nope. Those are 3 different ways. All okay. If you're by telling your child no, you are setting boundaries. You're telling them that they don't always get what they want and that they have to deal with disappointment. Because here's the thing, the world is going to tell your child no. So you do them a solid, do them a favor, and tell them no, and let them set those boundaries with them. Let them know that it's not all about them, because it's not all about them. All right, number 4. Fake crying isn't a thing. I once saw influencers with millions of followers, and they were like, fake crying isn't a thing. And I'm like, it most definitely is. Your child knows, because they are smart and that they're humans, that if they did something in the past and they got a good reward from it, or something good happened, they are more likely to do that behavior in the future. So if they were getting into trouble and all of a sudden they started crying and it wasn't real, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I yelled at you. Then guess what they're going to do? In the future, they're also going to fake cry to get out of things that makes them uncomfortable or get out of doing things. Another example of this is like kids will be like, you don't love me. And it pulls on our heartstrings. I was just having a conversation with a mom and a teenager the other day, and the teenager tells the mom on a regular basis, like every day, that you don't love me. And I looked at the teenager and I'm like, let's be straight for a second. What percentage of the time that you tell your mother that you don't love them is actually because you believe she doesn't love you? And the teen looks at me and goes, 30% of the time. So 70% of the time, this teen is telling his mom, you don't love me, because he's pulling on her heartstrings and he's fake crying. It is a thing. Absolutely a thing. All right, next one. Co-sleep with your baby. Whenever I hear people talking about co-sleeping with their infants, their babies, like actually sleeping in the same bed with them, I start to get really uncomfortable because I have a very close friend who is a firefighter, and he once told me this story about how he went to the home of this woman who co-slept with her baby, and she rolled on top of the baby and the baby suffocated. And the image that he painted, I will spare you all, you are welcome. The image that he painted for me, it just comes into my mind, and I'm just like, oh, please don't co-sleep with your babies. Like, if you want to have a bassinet next to your bed, absolutely. There's other kind of forms of bedding or safe sleeping practices where the baby's still in the same room with you. If you're like breastfeeding or anything along those lines, I get it. I did all those things. I get it, but don't by any circumstances bring your baby into the bed with you. I know there's like the seven safety sleeping things, blah, blah, blah. But even that, I mean, there's not very many people that I think can check off every single 7. So co-sleeping, don't do it. Leave it in 2025. All right, next one. Register them for all the extracurricular activities. Oh my goodness. I have a 200-page dissertation that tells us don't do this. My recommendation is if your child is younger than middle school, so like 5th grade and younger, only enroll them in one extracurricular activity at a time. There's lots of people that believe that they have to enroll their child in all of the extracurricular activities in order to get them into college. It's not true. It doesn't, like, your child can get into a college without being in all of the 12 extracurricular activities from the time that they are 2 years old. Just don't do it. It burns you out. It burns them out. And it's just not best practices. All right. Punishments don't work. So I saw a very, very popular parenting expert, like she's a legit parenting expert, that was talking about punishments don't work. And I beg to differ. Punishments do work if you do them appropriately. You want to use natural consequences, which means that you're not going to stand there and nag them the whole time and and you're going to let them kind of feel the natural consequences that comes by them making a mistake or doing whatever it is that they're doing. Now, you also want to use logical consequences. So they want to be relevant to the behavior that they're doing. You want them to be reasonable and respectful and revealed in advance. Logical consequences, natural consequences absolutely work. Punishments work. You just have to do them appropriately. But punishments absolutely do work. All right, focus on their feelings. Gentle parenting. You knew it was coming. You knew it. All right, so we've been told for the last 20 years, thanks, gentle parenters, that you should focus on your child's feelings above everything else. Don't do it, because all it's doing is teaching your child that their feelings are the most important things. And guess what? Feelings are the one thing of our psychology that we have no control over. We have control over we can challenge our thoughts and we can change our behaviors. Those are the things that we want to be focusing in on. We want to, yes, validate your child's behaviors, or not validate your child's feelings, but then still make them do what you need them to do. So let's stop focusing on feelings. It doesn't work. All it does is it tells your child that they only have to do things when they feel like doing it. Not okay for me. All right, next one. Don't prohibit your kid from watching something. Watch it and discuss. All right, so I had during one of my coaching calls, a mom was like, oh, so we decided to watch K-pop Demon Hunters with our 7-year-old. We didn't really want to, like, we didn't think that it was appropriate. It wasn't in line with our values. But then I read this like parenting influencer on a social media, and they said this very tip. And I was like, okay, cool. What happened? And the mom was like, well, the 7-year-old ended up in our bed for the next week because she was terrified of what happened on K-pop Demon Hunters. And I was like, oh my goodness. If a show is not in line with your values, you don't have to have your child watch it and discuss it and follow this advice. If something is not in line with your values, you are the parent. You get to decide how you want to raise your kids. Next one, sleep training traumatizes infants. This is not true. Sleep training is a life changer. Oh my goodness. When I sleep trained my 3 kids, it was glorious because I got so much more sleep. And there is no research to support that by sleep training your child, meaning like cry it out method or the Ferber method. I prefer the Ferber method, but that's just my own preference. I think it's easier for parents that you're going to lead your child to believe that when they stop crying, it's because they realize that you abandoned them. Your baby is not cognitively developed enough to realize that you even exist. So they're not going to think that you have abandoned them. Okay. So sleep training, absolutely do it in 2026, folks. You know your child better than anyone. Okay. You're going to have to hear me out on this one. So lots of people are like, I know my child better than any expert. And you probably do know your child better than any expert, but you don't know everything about everything. And so what I want you to do is, if your child is in need of some kind of professional help, well, then go in with a mindset of collaboration. You know your child the best. The doctor, the mental health provider, the occupational therapist knows their craft better probably than you do. And so go in with collaboration. That's what I love doing as a clinical psychologist. I have parents come in, they know their kid better than I know them, but I know lots of other things. I know normative behavior, and I know how to change parenting practices so that they're more effective. And so by the parents teaming up with me and collaborating with me, we can get the child in a better state than if you go in with the mindset of, I know my child best. Last one, treat them as your equal. Of course, we got to end on a gentle parenting principle. So gentle parents are all like, oh, I'm going to treat my child like a partner, or they're like my equal, and I'm going to allow them to have decision-making No. There's just so much pressure on your child. Don't do it. And then you wonder why they're not doing what you want them to do. Well, because you've been treating them like they're your peer, like they're your equal. It doesn't work. So don't do it. There's a hierarchy in every family, and I want parents to be aligned on the top of the hierarchy and the child to be below them. Now, it's not a Matilda situation where like, I'm big, you're small, I'm smart, you're dumb. No, we're not doing that. But it's like, I am the boss, I am the authority figure. This is what I want. This is what I need you to do. And so you're going to go do it. And then there's going to be consequences or punishments if you don't do it. And there's probably going to be rewards if you do it. Awesome. Solid. Parents, it's okay to be the boss. It's okay to be the authority figure in your child's life. And so in 2025, we are leaving these 12 bad parenting tips behind. And in 2026, you know what you and I are doing? We are doing authoritative parenting by setting high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. And that's what we're going to be doing in 2026. And parents are going to be less burnt out, and their kids are going to be better off for it. They're going to be morally, they're going to do well academically, they're going to do socially. And by doing all of this, by bringing authoritative parenting into 2026, we're going to be throat punching the youth mental health crisis.